we follow the story of a man known as Ed, who recounts the beginning of how he became a criminal to a panel of judges in an effort to reduce his sentence. About 20 years ago, Ed joined the Herpers, a group more commonly known as knights who had sworn an oath to create peace across the land. During his days as a knight, Ed was always successful in capturing and imprisoning criminals. However, Ed felt that the wages from his noble work were not enough to buy luxurious goods and provide a decent life for his beloved wife and child. One day, while capturing a red sorcerer in their hideout, Ed stole several gold bars without realizing that the gold had been marked with magic by the red sorcerer. As a result of his actions, Ed's decision backfired on his family. The red sorcerer, whom Ed had previously captured, managed to escape and went to Ed's home to kill his wife. Fortunately, his wife managed to hide their child in a secret drawer. Since that incident, Ed's life felt empty without the presence of the people he loved. He deeply regretted his actions and decided to quit his job as a knight. Ed wandered aimlessly, taking his child with him, until one day, a barbarian woman named Holga came to help him. Holga's background starkly contrasted with Ed's. She was ostracized and exiled from her barbarian tribe because she pursued a man from the dwarf tribe whom she loved. However, after chasing him, her feelings were unreciprocated. The dwarf man she loved ended up marrying another woman from the same barbarian tribe. Over time, Holga quickly grew close to Ed's child, Kira. Gradually, Ed and Holga ran out of money and savings, forcing them to resort to theft to survive. However, they had one principle. They only stole from the rich without harming anyone. Over time, Ed and Holga's thefts were highly successful. They recruited a con artist named Forge and a young sorcerer named San.
Pushed us to aim even higher.
One night, Forge unexpectedly brought a sorceress named Safina, who had a plan to steal from a warehouse of magical artifacts owned by the Herpers. Safina also instructed Forge to tell Ed that the warehouse contained an ancient relic called the Resurrection Tablet, which had the power to revive the dead. Hearing this, Ed agreed, hoping to bring his wife back to life. However, before carrying out the heist, Ed asked Kira not to join, as he did not want to risk his child's life, knowing that the place belonged to the Herpers. When they arrived at the warehouse, Ed easily opened the door, as he was a former member of the Herpers. However, instead of obtaining the Resurrection Tablet, Safina used the opportunity to steal the Shell of Wonders and trap Ed and Holga in a time-stopping spell as the Herpers came to surround them. In his final moments before being imprisoned, Ed entrusted Forge with the Resurrection Tablet and asked him to keep Kira safe. After concluding his long story about how he and Holga were captured, the two took advantage of the arrival of a new judge to escape from prison, beginning their adventure. After escaping, Ed and Holga rushed to their old home in the southern region to visit Kira. However, upon arrival, they did not find Kira and instead learned that Forge had crowned himself king. Investigating further, they discovered that the previous king had suddenly and mysteriously fallen unconscious, enabling Forge to take the throne. Without wasting time, Ed and Holga went directly to the kingdom and met Kira, who had now grown into a teenage girl. However, strangely, Ed's arrival was not warmly welcomed by Kira. Instead, she ran toward Holga and hugged her. Kira then invited them to meet Forge, who had been raising, nurturing, and caring for Kira with great affection. Kira even considered him her uncle.
Oh, old friend.
Ed and Helga were shocked to see that Forge had become king, even though he was not of noble blood. They were even more surprised by the presence of Safina, whom Forge had made his personal advisor. This shocked Ed and Helga greatly, as Safina was the sorceress who had previously caused their capture. It turned out that Forge and Safina had long planned everything, from the heist at the Herper's warehouse to successfully seizing the king's throne. Of all the revelations, the most painful for Ed was learning that during his imprisonment, Forge had manipulated Kira by telling her lies about Ed, claiming that he never cared about her and only prioritized wealth. Forge's lies were further reinforced when Kira remembered that she was not invited to join the heist at the Herper's warehouse. In reality, Ed had intended to surprise Kira by reviving her mother with the resurrection tablet.
Kira, no, wait.
Ed then requested the resurrection tablet to prove to Kira that everything he had done was for her. However, Forge refused and ordered Safina and the guards to kill Ed and Helga to eliminate them as threats. Just before being executed, Helga managed to fight off the guards and defeat them one by one despite her hands being tied, while Ed sat calmly, enjoying the fight. Ed and Helga then devised a plan to retrieve the resurrection tablet and regain Kira's trust. First, they needed a team to carry out the mission. The first person they approached was Simon, the young sorcerer who had previously been part of their group and harbored a personal grudge against Forge because he had almost been captured due to Forge's betrayal. Coincidentally, Simon was performing magic tricks to steal valuables from his audience. However, his act was discovered, and he was almost attacked by an angry mob. Luckily, he managed to escape and was taken away by Ed and Helga.
I really like this. You'll be very sorry, but you'll be okay.
Along the journey, Simon revealed that Forge and Safina had almost killed him and that the heist at the Herper's warehouse was a trap. Simon agreed to join Ed's plan to exact his revenge. However, Ed explained that the mission would not be easy. They needed one more person as a spy. Coincidentally, Simon knew a druid who could help them, named Doric. Doric is a human from the druid tribe capable of transforming into any animal, from the smallest to the largest. He agrees to join the team because he also holds a grudge against Forge. Ever since Forge ascended the throne, he has ruthlessly destroyed Doric's habitat and cut down the forest at will. Doric is deeply upset and cannot accept that the place that raised him has been ruined by the cruel king. Finally, a team consisting of Ed as the strategist, Helga as the frontline fighter, Simon as the ranged attacker, and Doric as the scout is formed to overthrow Forge's oppressive rule and regain Kira's trust. Meanwhile, Safina is secretly visited by her mentor, revealing that she is a red wizard under orders to manipulate Forge and use him and his group to steal from the Herper's vault. To obtain the magic conch under the guise of the resurrection tablet, Ed and his team start devising a plan. The magic conch is a weapon capable of turning people into zombies who obey the user's commands. Long ago, when red wizards performed a ritual to turn everyone in the city into zombies, the Herpers managed to thwart their actions, capture all the red wizards, and seal the magic conch in the vault. Since then, red wizards have been hunted and deemed a global threat. Safina, one of the red wizards, continues to follow Forge despite her disgust toward him, as she is tasked by her mentor to turn all attendees of the Heist tournament into zombies. This tournament was organized by Forge after he became king. In the tournament, teams of 5 are forced to face dangerous and deadly creatures and traps to win. They must navigate a labyrinth and find the exit. Nobles from various countries wager their wealth on the games, and all the bets are stored in one place under heavy magical security, thanks to Safina
itself.
Doric's first task is to transform into a fly and infiltrate the treasure room to assess Safina's security measures. It turns out the treasure room is sealed with magic that, according to Simon, cannot be broken by any form of magic except with one item: the magic amplification helm. However, Doric's presence does not go undetected for long. Safina notices him and sends guards to capture him. Fortunately, Doric escapes and leaves the kingdom's territory. Simon, almost hopeless in the face of Safina's powerful magic, proposes using the magic amplification helm. Coincidentally, the helm was once used by the barbarian tribe where Holga originates in past wars. However, Holga herself does not know where the helm is now. Ed suggests visiting the graves of fallen barbarian warriors to learn the helm's whereabouts using Sand's resurrection magic. Before reaching the graves, Holga asks her friends to stop by the dwarf man she once loved. However, upon arrival, Holga is heartbroken to see that the man has married another woman from the barbarian tribe. Not wanting to linger there, Holga decides to move on and takes a staff she had once given to the man.
Not fortune found or fate.
At night, when they arrive at the barbarian graveyard, Simon reminds Ed that the resurrection magic only lasts temporarily, and Ed can only ask each corpse 5 questions before it returns to rest. One by one, Ed questions the corpses about the magic helm, eventually learning that it is in the possession of Shank, a traveler who survived the Red Wizard tragedy. In no time, Ed and his friends find Shank. Ed explains his purpose: to obtain the magic helm to defeat Safina, the Red Wizard, and dethrone Forge. Hearing Ed's noble intentions, Shank agrees to guide them to the helm's location, on the condition that Ed promises to share the wealth from the heist and tournament bets if they succeed in defeating Safina and Forge. Shank leads them through a secret path in the forest, entering the Underdark to the place where the magic helm is hidden. The area is fraught with dangers, from brain-eating creatures to treacherous paths navigable only by the skilled. Due to numerous deadly traps, the journey is perilous, but they manage to survive when Simon realizes that Holga is carrying an ancient portal-opening staff. After overcoming all obstacles, they finally reach the location where Shank stored the magic helm. However, their success coincides with the arrival of Safina's wizard envoys, ready to risk their lives to claim the helm. Complications don't end there. They must face even greater danger as a plump dragon awakens from its long slumber. Though the dragon cannot fly with its wings, the surrounding lava can melt anything. After a hard-fought struggle, they find a way to escape the dragon and leave the area. First, Holga attacks the dragon, causing massive destruction in the chamber, and then Ed instructs Sand to ignite his fire magic to trigger an explosion, utilizing the dragon's breath. Escaping successfully, Shank departs after entrusting the magic helm to Ed and reminding him of his sworn promise. Now that the magic helm is in their hands, Simon is tasked with wielding it. Upon wearing it, Simon encounters a middle-aged wizard in his subconscious who warns him that his current abilities are insufficient to withstand the helm's power. The wizard pushes Simon to remove the helm, but Simon refuses to give up. He persistently dons the helm and persuades the wizard to teach him.
You got this.
While Simon is occupied in his subconscious, Ed takes a moment to rest and unknowingly dreams of his late wife. In the dream, Ed relives cherished memories with his wife. She imparts a valuable lesson he has yet to embrace. She asks him to stop trying to bring her back to life and to find peace in letting her go.
Ed, we got a problem.
Nonetheless, Ed remains steadfast in his resolve to obtain the resurrection tablet and save Kira from Forge and Safina, no matter the cost, even if it means sacrificing his own life. Ed's words reminded Holga of the nobles who would wager their fortunes on the Heist tournament. Holga then came up with the idea of using her portal staff to infiltrate the treasure room by exploiting the wealth of one of the nobles to open a portal from within. The next morning, Ed planned to purchase a painting to serve as a portal connection and smuggle it into a noble's treasure cart. With Doric's shape-shifting abilities, the plan succeeded. On the day of the Heist tournament, Forge welcomed millions of spectators and nobles placing their bets. This new tournament drew an enormous crowd. The kingdom's heightened security made it difficult for Ed and his companions to sneak inside. Worse still, their only means of entry, the portal painting, accidentally fell and became covered by a concrete floor. With no other option, Ed and Holga used Simon's magic to distract the guards, allowing them to enter the palace and head for the treasure room, while Doric worked to chip away at the concrete to create a small opening. Inside the palace, Ed divided the tasks. Holga was to hold off the guards, Simon was sent to the treasure room, and Ed planned to retrieve Kira and escape with her. However, when Ed found Kira, he was confronted by Safina, disguised as Kira, who captured him. Similar fates befell Holga and Simon. When Simon managed to control the magic-amplifying helm and entered the treasure room, it turned out to be a trap all along. The plan was Safina's ploy to lure them all into a trap. Meanwhile, Doric, who had reached the real treasure room, discovered Forge's plan to steal all the nobles' wagers for himself and flee the kingdom. Unfortunately, Doric was caught by a patrolling guard. Unwilling to give up, Ed had a bold idea. He volunteered himself, Holga, Simon, and Doric to participate as a team in the Heist tournament. Confident they would not survive the ordeal, Forge and Safina agreed to Ed's request and immediately placed them at the tournament's starting line. Safina then placed sealing bracelets on all participants, including Doric and Simon, preventing them from using magic. Forced to rely solely on physical strength, they had to navigate the shifting labyrinth, avoiding various traps and wild beasts in pursuit. Meanwhile, Forge, having secured the nobles' wagers, prepared to leave the kingdom with Kira in tow. Safina, indifferent to Forge's treachery, allowed him to proceed as she had her own secret plans. In the labyrinth, as Doric and Holga nearly became trapped in molten wax, Doric accidentally managed to remove the bracelet on her wrist. She quickly formulated a plan, using the wax to escape the labyrinth. Doric instructed her friends to jump into the wax as the labyrinth pulled them downward. Utilizing her shape-shifting abilities in a split second, Doric escaped and swiftly rescued them all. After escaping, Doric led them to Forge's boat, loaded with the nobles' wagers. Shortly after, Forge arrived with Kira, shocked to see Ed and his friends had survived the tournament and now stood aboard his ship. With the resurrection tablet in hand, Ed finally convinced Kira that everything Forge had told her was a lie. Forge merely wanted to keep Kira to himself and separate her from Ed. Ed also explained that his past theft was motivated by his desire to obtain the tablet to resurrect his late wife. With his lies exposed, Forge threatened to harm Kira unless Ed returned all the stolen wealth. Fortunately, Holga saved Kira, and they escaped aboard Forge's ship. Though they reclaimed Kira and the resurrection tablet, their ordeal was far from over. They suddenly realized that the Heist tournament had been part of Safina's scheme to turn all the spectators into zombies. Ed and his companions decided to return to the tournament arena and lure the audience out by attaching the noble's wagers to a hot air balloon. Realizing her ritual was being thwarted, Safina abandoned her unfinished spell and attacked them with her magic. Safina unleashed various spells, manipulating objects around her with ease. She even planned to use time-stopping magic to end the battle, but her plans were foiled by Kira, who used her invisibility necklace to place a sealing bracelet on Safina's arm. Unfortunately, one of Safina's thrown daggers struck Holga in the chest, piercing her heart and leaving her mortally wounded.
Then you...
Every memory Holga shared with Ed while raising Kira together became the most cherished moments of her life, now flashing before her as her final thoughts. Though bittersweet, Holga believed the beauty of meeting someone lies in the memories they leave behind. And the best way to honor such a farewell is to let go and pray for the loved one's journey. In the end, those memories inspired Ed to use the resurrection tablet to bring Holga back to life. Ed realized he had finally let go of his past with his late wife and chose to create new, beautiful memories with Holga, whom Kira already considered a mother figure. After defeating Safina, the magical curse controlling the previous king vanished, and the rightful ruler reclaimed the throne. Thanks to their success, Ed and his companions were hailed as heroes of Neverwinter. However, even with Forge captured and imprisoned, the threat was not entirely over. Safina's master, along with Zastum, the leader of the Red Wizards, remained at large and might strike against Ed and his friends in the future. And so, the film ends.